And begin to take a few big, deep breaths, maybe even closing down your eyes and just letting go of all of that extra sensory information that your brain does not need to take in right now, because you are safe, you are secure, you are in a sacred space. And you're just really calling in this energy of calm to your body, to be open and receptive to whatever it is that you need to receive today. To let your cells relax. Maybe breathing even deeper down into your heart space, expanding through the chest, maybe even deeper, letting the belly really fill up, maybe even deeper, connecting to your womb or your root chakra. And so science says that only 6 deep breaths completely reset the nervous system. And so with your eyes closed now, really utilize this tool to release any of the day that you've had so far or whatever is yet to come. Remembering you're on mute, so if you need to make an audible sound, that is totally fine. Move that energy, shift that stagnation, maybe flick the fingers, give the shoulders a little shrug, roll through the hips, head circles, whatever it is that you need to do to just like shimmy out some energy. And then whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. So my intention for this call today was to simply show up and address any of the blocks that we might have toward this concept of manifestation. So as you all probably know, my course starts on Friday, May 1st, Manifesting Like Magic, which goes deep into getting really clear on how it is that you want to feel and where you're out of alignment and what are the emotional blocks that we need to address to create space for things to be received. All that kind of jam we go into much deeper, but I want to use this call as a way to kind of unhinge any myths that we have around manifestation, because that is step 1. So I know for me personally, the blocks that I had for years that kept me in this anxious spiral of overwhelm, of not doing enough work, kept me from manifesting, from bringing into form what it is that I truly wanted, because of all of this inner conflict, this unresolved dialogue between what it really was. So I'm curious just to hear from everybody here, and you can utilize the chat box down below. And I really do invite you to engage and participate. Your participation is required if you're going to get what it is that you came for. So write to me in the chat box, what do you think manifestation is? And remember that there's no right or wrong. So there's no judgment. There's no like correct dictionary definition here. We're going multidimensional. So just tell me in your experience what the concept of manifesting is to you. What does it mean? What are kind of the key elements or the words that you associate with it? And just pop that in the chat box for me so I can have a look to see where everyone's at. And then once you bring those in for me, so take a few moments and please pop them in. I'm going to read out a few of the private messages I've received over the last few weeks during the launch of Manifesting Like Magic around some of the blocks we have or where we get stuck when it comes to a successful process to bringing something into form that you really want, just to see if it resonates with you here as well. So a few of our manifesting definitions are aligning yourself and your energy to receive what is meant for you. That is a good one. Asking, believing, receiving, flowing in creative power, the anchoring of creative power, being in alignment with the universe, a feeling state of flow, open to the mystery and the journey. Yes, I love that one. Constant creation from every moment, attracting like for like, creating something into reality from a seed of thought. Oh, so good. You're all geniuses. And I say that because sometimes we need a reminder. And the reason that I've called you into this space is to liberate the remembrance that you are here as a masterful creator and that we are all equal in that playing field. So in my past, and I'll explain a little bit about who I am and what I'm doing here in case nobody does know yet, I have cock-blocked my sense of creation consciously because I didn't believe that I was as worthy or as receptive or as abundant or as lucky as others. You know, there's always this tendency as humans to put people on pedestals, to be like, oh, well, they've got that, so that's not possible for me because I didn't have the same upbringing, or I don't have the same opportunity as them, so that's not possible for me. And all of these thought processes create separation, right, from our creatordom. And when we realize that equality is innate in us to all create, because we all already are, this isn't something that you need to learn, you're already doing it, you've always been doing it, it is law. It diminishes that gap between said person up here that has what you want that you can't have, and like harmonizes that back into an equal playing field. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to communicate there? So for those of you that maybe don't know me, I can explain this in a way through my own storytelling, which is that I've been obsessed with these concepts ever since I was 17, so almost 10 years. And I so badly wanted to be this archetype that could manifest, that could create reality. And I understood the concept intellectually, which is why we're having this call, because I want to go deeper than that, because intellectual understanding will not get you where you want to go, right? To some extent, maybe, but you might create something and then be like, oh, that doesn't really feel the way I want to feel. Unless it's the deep, embodied experience of co-creation, then it's kind of just like junk food, you know? It's like not satisfying the hunger that you have for really tasting what it means to be alive on this planet as a creator. So where I screwed myself over for so many years, even though I was reading the books, I was doing the work, I was working with coaches, I was doing all of the things, I was casting spells, having new moon ceremonies, drinking cacao, like anybody else relate of doing all of the fucking things ever to try and make shit happen? But what I wasn't doing most of the time was being in resonance with my own source, self-sourcing. Now, I heard that term only recently, and I can't actually remember where I heard it from. So if anybody knows or has heard of that before, you can tell me so I can credit them. But this idea of self-sourcing means that that creative power is not outside of you in someone else's hands, right? I wrote a post recently about being our own inner authority and how we're kind of brought up in a world that forces us away from our intuition and our instinct, which is our creative power, yeah? So we're in this time now where we get to marry those things back together, remember who we really are as creators, and know that that creative hand is not separate from our own arm. It's not somebody else that's dictating it for us. It's not a puppeteer up in the sky. So, but actually, I'll just quickly say, that doesn't mean that you're not in a relationship with another force. So I call that, you know, intuition, instinct, creative power, soul, or desire, or essence. And that other force that I'm in relationship with, I call it life, because that's what feels really easy for me. Some people call it God, some people call it spirit, some people call it, you know, mystical force orchestrating everything in the world. But we're in relationship. And so it's not getting up on our ego high horse and being like, well, I'm the king creator of the world and I can create my reality the way I want it to be. Because that's not going to happen, right? Things happen in the world or in your life where you're like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. That was a curveball. And so creating a relationship with this other force, whatever you interpret that to be, outside of you, is really helpful when we get to the stage in the manifestation process that is the art of allowing, releasing attachment to the outcome, right? Because then it's no longer in your hands. So there's this beautiful, paradoxical weight that is shared and distributed between your hands and the hands of something else. Is everybody with me for now? Is anything feeling like too far out, or you're like, yeah, I got you, girl? Cool. So when I started to reclaim this remembering through doing different kinds of work, which involved deep emotional intimacy, that is when everything shifted. And that was such a surprise to me, because the concept of manifestation was always presented as like light, positivity, happy, be in your good vibe, be in your high frequency, be in your happy state, right? The feel good, positive psychology stuff that can only get us so far. And I was terrified of the shadow, like so scared. I used anxiety to block any emotion deeper than that for years, and it was paralyzing and really painful. And it wasn't until I got the courage to end my 6-year relationship and that a few other things happened in my life that triggered a response of cracking open to, if a few of you are watching my Oracle guidance each week, 2 weeks ago, and also during the virtual retreat, I've got a few of you on here that attended. The card was rock bottom, cracking open to surrender to the alchemy of life. That's really what my time a couple of years ago was all about. And I did not expect that what would come from that is the strongest force of creative power I've ever had access to, because it required that I went into my feeling, not into my thinking. Manifesting is not an intellectual concept. As much as we can write the lists and we can, do the drawings and create the vision boards and cast the spells, I'm all for that shit. I love that stuff. But if your feeling is not connected to it and you are living from the neck up, nothing's really gonna change. Yeah. So I would love to hear from you, and I'm also going to read some out while you tell me. What are some of the blocks that you have in, really wrangling this concept or this art of manifestation? What are the bits that you get tripped up on? Where can I perhaps bring some light or bring some understanding to some things that are specific to you? And just pop them in the chat box. Let me know where you're like, I don't get this, or this is what I have a really hard time doing. And I'll read you out a few that I've received through Instagram. So, releasing attachment to the outcome, how to even call what I want in, knowing the small steps I need to take right now, really knowing what I even want in the first place, being consistent, getting excited about it, telling someone, and then they don't get it, so I quit and lose energy, returning to my vision enough so I don't forget it and trusting in the process, aligning to my emotions, tending to completely feel all of the good feels, and being in momentum are just a few of the messages I received. Does anybody resonate with those? So a couple of you have said facing the contrast when it happens. Detaching from the outcome, attachment. Yes, that is a recurring one here. That I can only work on manifesting when I'm feeling amazing. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that one. That's what I want to really sink my teeth into today. Allowing myself to accept so much good when it does come. Knowing when to be patient and when something just isn't working. Oh, thank you. This is epic. I know I'm getting excited about places where you feel blocked. That might be really weird, but it's because I feel like, has anybody ever done an enema? I'm just like, I want to sweep in there and just like moisten up all of that stagnant hard shit so that we can clear the blocks and you can, return to that creator archetype that you really are. That excites me. There's a fear of living a big life. It feels like more responsibility, more money, more problems. I hear you, girl. Fear of the change that it will manifest. I'm filling in the gap there, but I think that's what you meant. It's scary to say what I need out loud. Oh, thank you. Wow. You're all amazing. So all of these issues or challenges, or whatever word we can use to sprinkle some light onto them, because they are gifts as much as they feel like such a head fuck, it's all happening internally, right? It's all happening inside of us. Nobody has told me any block that is outside of them. This is what I really want you to hear, because you are then self-sourcing your solution. In the same way that we like to say, oh, he made me so happy, or she made me feel so sexy, or that client made me feel so validated, right? We go outside in. It's not coming from outside of you. Those are bonus points, but the feeling is cultivated within you. Yeah. Emotions are literally just chemicals in your brain. When we strip all of the, other associations we have with good, bad, judgments, positive, negative feelings, whatever, they're chemicals that are happening in your brain, not outside of your brain. Somebody can't, yes, there are ways that you can go outside in and be like, I'll have some chemicals, thanks. But I'm not teaching about that today. I'm teaching about how we can take ownership that it's all happening within us. And so that means that all of our blocks are not happening outside of us. It means that nothing external has to change for you to feel differently about it. Nothing external has to change for you to feel differently about it. And I'm really getting this right now in a few themes through my life, and entering into perhaps my biggest work yet, which is all about the physical body. And I'm so excited to share that journey with you of what happens and what shifts. But in my journey the last few years around attracting really epic, wild love through relationship with a man, attracting money, attracting the business of my dreams, where I wake up and I'm like, damn, I get to live my ideal day today, literally. What I've come to learn is that the external environment could not be dictating my inner state of being in order for those things to manifest. Because when they aren't there, and we're so attached to the outcome that it's creating so much tension that we're like, it's not here yet, it's not here yet, it's not here yet, then we're living from a space of lack, energetically, emotionally, chemically. So tell me in the chat box, what one area would you love to shift your state of being around when it comes to feeling the lack of it? It might be love, it might be health, it might be money, it might be creativity, connection, friendships. Just tell me a few of those things, because declaring it makes it real and takes it out of your own head and gives it a voice, which is what we all really want. It takes its power away, So I wholeheartedly know that my process, and I know a few of you have already gone through scripting, you've read my blog, you've watched my videos, you've done it yourself, you might already have a practice that's outside of knowing me whatsoever, that scripting is not the writing, it's not the reading, it's not the listening to the music, it's the beautiful mixture of all of the things mixed together with feeling. If the feeling wasn't there, it doesn't fucking work. Kristen's sweating. Yes, that means we're moving some energy. So we're wanting more adventure and connection, growing business, more love, more friendship, more leadership opportunities, more love, more love, more love. Yes, health, creativity, expression. Love this. Health and fertility. That's beautiful. So actually, for all of you listening, if you are sitting in a position where you can, I want you to place both of your hands over your womb space, because this is your creative center. This is your sex energy, which is the same energy that creates, right? It births. Maybe placing one hand on the solar plexus, your belly, which is the source of your power, your declaration, your clarity. And this is the area of the body where we have been very stuck in the 3D, right? The primal desires. And as we're moving up into anchoring a new world, a new earth, 5D consciousness, more light, whatever you want to call it, we're traveling up toward the heart. But to get there, we must cultivate a much more understanding and beautiful, coherent relationship with these centers of the body. So just keeping your hands there for the rest of this conversation, if you can. Melting that attention down from your head into your body. And so we want all of these things. The wanting is easy, right? We want all day long. As much as we like to pretend, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want. Yes, you do. You just told me. You do. And you might not know how it comes into form, and that's the mystery of it all. Whoever said at the beginning that manifesting is being in the mystery, yes, you nailed it. Because that is the very thing that helps us detach from the outcome, is the mystery, is letting yourself be surprised. Because the part of you that is blocking that manifestation or that new edge that you want to travel to is the part of you that wants to keep you safe. It's your protective mechanism. It's like, new territory. You want a relationship that is built on trust and respect, even though you've never had one before. Warning, I don't know what that's like, so I'm going to self-sabotage. Yeah. Or, I want more money, but I've never seen anybody reach that level in their income before and have it feel effortless. So alarm bells, I don't know if that's safe. I'm going to self-sabotage. That's kind of the thing we do, yeah? And so bringing our awareness back into these power centers to connect to that desire, to name the desire, give it a voice, as you just did, to attune to the feeling of it, if you were to have it, and then choosing your aligned action is kind of my process. The way of like ask, believe, receive. That's kind of my process. Name, connect, choose. If you want to write that down. Naming what it is that you want, your desire, or maybe what you even feel in lack of. Connecting to the energy, the pure energy of what it would be if it were there in these centers of the body. Because all of those things you said, connection, adventure, fertility, financial freedom, abundance, love and dating, hello, these are all in these energy centers, right? I love that. I love that we all have that in common right now, that we're not going like up here. Woo. So to be in the space where lack disintegrates and obliterates, we are not going to be playing pretend that it's not there. I'm not down for that, because your ego is way smarter than that. If you're like, my love is here, my love is here, my love is here, your ego's like, you're making coffee by yourself every day. There is nobody here. There is one person that sleeps in your bed. Girl, get your head in reality, right? It's not our head that this has to happen in. It is our energetic, emotional body. I want to speak to all of like the feminine in you, the feminine force, or the childlike imagination in you that you haven't been able to exercise for so long because you're scared of looking weird or playing in a fantasy land or having nobody understand you or get it. How I have successfully created things that blow my mind still, and I have record of them when I need a reminder of how powerful I am. Ridiculous things that I could not have, I don't even know. And I know each of you have an experience of this. This isn't just for me. This isn't just for people that, like teach this stuff or share these stories. Every single one of you has proof that miracles happen and that you're the co-creator in that miracle. It's not something just external of you that's helping that happen. And we got to get over this fear of looking ridiculous, of being judged, because otherwise we will not created what it is that we really want to create. And so to close the gap between lack in our external is by feeling the sensations of what it is that you want internally, creating those chemicals for yourself. Not denying that it hasn't come into form yet, not living in a total fantasy land of like, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, and you're homeless. Like, that's not what I'm asking you to do. But to train your body chemically to be in those states more frequently, more often. And what happens is then the version of you that's over here that has all the things you want acts a certain way chemically, right? They feel a certain way. And thus, whoever said like attracts like, you're calling in all of those vibrational matches. This is like Manifesting 101, anyone who's listened to Abraham Hicks or anything like that. But where we fuck ourselves over so much is we're like, well, we're here and I want to be here. And this gap in between makes me feel crap. Does anyone resonate with that? Yeah. You're constantly like, but I don't have that body yet, or I don't have that relationship yet, or I'm not in that job yet. And all of this distance is what keeps this at a distance. So time keeps happening and you just keep being like, lack. And so this just keeps traveling forward in the future. It exists because you want it, number one. But to close this gap and make these people the same can only happen in the here and now, like right now as you have your hand on your womb or your belly and start to cultivate those feelings of friendship and connection and love and riches and abundance and fertility and creative expression right now. And so when you name what it is you want, and then you connect to that energy by going into the body, what does it feel like? Tell me in the chat box. Anything that you declared that you wanted, that you desire, tell me in that chat box when you can connect to it. Don't rush it. It might not be instant. It might be really foreign, might be really hard. Notice where the resistance is. You might even have to close your eyes for a few minutes. You can take your time. Just tell me whenever it does come through. But breathing into these power centers of your magnetism, of your masterful creative force, what does that desire feel like? Sandra says, right. Yes, I love that. That is a really great definition. Right, like clicking into place. Expansive, energizing, safe, peace, relieving, exhilarating, light. Now, tell me, did anything change externally in those 30 seconds for you to feel differently? Did your body drastically lose weight, or did a lover magically appear in your room to fix all of your problems? No. This is how we become our own genie. This is how we become the freaking wand, the conducting point of like manifesting superpower is by taking ownership for our feeling. Yeah. There was no time traveling done aside from internally, and not from your head, not from like, what would it be like if I never get the thing? Oh, I feel like crap. It's softening into, oh yeah, that's my desire. That's what that would feel like. It's a curiosity. It's a softness. And that person over here that feels those feelings all the time becomes you right now. And so from this place, the third part of the process is choose. What do you now choose to do in this energy? What action can you take that is in alignment with moving you one step closer to closing that gap just a little bit? Perhaps if this version of you is, I'll use an example, is adventurous, right? Somebody said they wanted more adventure. So the third step is choosing. I just saw, Sandra, that you asked that. This version of me over here, she wants adventure. She wants to play. She wants to be explorative. but I'm here. I'm stuck in quarantine. I'm bored. I don't have any options. I don't have any choice. Da, 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 da. We go down that spiral of why we can't be that thing that we want already. To close the gap, we tune into the feeling. Adventure, that's what I want. Name it. Connect to the energy of it. Oh yeah, that will be so fun when I can fly again, or I can travel to Iceland, or maybe I'll look at some, photos of old traveling trips and get my stoke on. What did that feel like when I was in Bali that one time? What did it feel like when I went on a date with a new lover? That was pretty adventurous. And you just kind of start playing on that energy a little bit and you milk it. And then choose is the action that you can do to close that gap. So it's not all just energy. This is where we kind of also get stuck, right? We're like, I'm fantasizing all the time. I'm visualizing all the time, but nothing's happening in the external. Okay, we live in a 3D world. We live in a physical world. Action is required, but only from your alignment. So every time you go to do something, I want to prompt that in there right now. Every time I do, check in. Am I aligned? Is this going to get me closer to close the gap or further away? Am I perpetuating an old cycle? I know these are big questions. And why I'm sharing this is because you have an opportunity 10,000 times a day to do it, and you're going to screw it up all the time. But every time that you do, you're going to be like, oh, more information. As someone said, the contrast. Oh, there's contrast. The old way of teaching positive psychology, bullshit, spiritual bypassing manifestation is be in a feel-good state all the time. And what I'm giving you permission to do is to feel, is to be human, is to use those contrasts as information, and they are just as valid as when you are in alignment. They are just as valid because that is the human experience. That is the human experience of being an embodied creator on earth rather than somebody who is floating up in the clouds. For us to move up into the heart, up into the coherence of new consciousness, new earth, which I know you're all a part of doing in your own way, means that we must take ownership for the ways that we have a shadow. Right? And so when we connect to a new desire and we don't feel the energy of it, we feel the block to it. This is where I offer a lot of support in Manifesting Like Magic. It is emotional alchemy. It is recognition of the shadow. It is, oh, that really sucks that I don't have that thing yet, and I feel sad about it. An old way manifesting, which is why I screwed myself over so many times, is, oh, I can't be sad. I got to get in a good space again. I got to be in alignment. I got to be in my positive state for things to happen. Meanwhile, just like stuffing down that sadness or that grief or that frustration, just like in my body. And it's still there. Like our bodies know, our cells are like, you're not really magnetic right now because there's a lot of confusing, conflicting feelings in here. Anybody resonate with that? It's like the pressure to feel good all the time is not going to get you what you want either, because that is a false archetype of what it means to be human right now on the planet. For now, we're creating a new way where effortless and ease is what feels good most of the time. But there is going to be some shadow aspects that arise. And I invite you to really hear that meeting resistance means that you're meeting more of your true self. Meeting resistance is a fucking awesome thing. It means that you are tinkering on the edge of you, of meeting truth. Okay, so when those resistances come up, I don't want you to be like, ew, I feel gross. Stuff that down. I better feel good again. I'm going to read my script or look at my vision board and pretend that this isn't happening and pretend that it's all good already to close my gap. No, the closing of the gap happens when you are in presence with what is, and you take ownership for your feeling. You turn toward the feeling. You let it move through. Feelings know what to do. It's us that gets in the way. Yeah. Chemical reactions know how to process in the body. It's when we get in the way. I learned this. Has anybody heard of journey work with Brandon Bays? She's got an awesome book about physical ailments and illnesses and how we diminish them through tending to our feeling. And I did a training with her in London a couple of years ago and learned that when we have an emotion, the chemical rises, you know, a biochemical reaction. Here we go. Here is anger. And if we have a story that anger is not safe to feel, we block it. We get in the way. And then that chemical gets trapped in the cell. So you're literally walking around with that anger still in you. And when you want to create something, but you haven't felt that anger, it's a little block, right? It's all these little blocks. So whenever resistance comes up, I just really want to reframe resistance for you, because when it comes up, this is an opportunity to be like, yes, I'm getting closer, rather than, fuck, I'm so far away because I want love and I'm feeling anger or hatred or rage or some other feeling that I don't want to feel. Is that all making sense for everybody? Is that landing? Is there any questions around that? Please feel free to pop them in the chat. I'm just going to keep an eye. We've only got a few more minutes. Oh my God, I could talk about this forever. So there is your process. Name, connect, choose. Name the desire. Name the want. Name what you're calling in. Simple. And if you don't know, which you do, but if you don't know, you can take someone else's. You can think about a memory where you felt the way you wanted to feel. You can seek out sources of inspiration of, oh, well, she wants that, so maybe I want that. I'll try it on for a second. And alignment, you will feel it in your body if that's true for you or not. If you're like, I want $10 million, and then you don't feel it, you're like, oh, maybe that's not true for me, actually. It's someone else's desire. Second step, connect. Connect to that energy of what it is that you want. Fantasize about it, romance it, lust it. Bring it into being within your body, because that is how powerful you are chemically, biologically, physiologically. Own that. Bring it alive within your internal state, even if it's for 30 seconds. Final step, choose. What is your aligned action? Choose what you are going to do, even if it's rest, even if it's nothing. That's still a choice, right? To close that gap. So I'll leave you with one last powerful process I have used, and it's just so much fun when you do kind of realize, like, oh shit, I'm who I always wanted to become. That's a beautiful feeling, and I want all of us to experience that. And I'm so excited that there's so many other versions of me in the future that know so much more than I do right now, that are way better at all of this stuff, that are calling me forward. So this person over here that you want to become, or that you know, the person that has what you want, get guidance from them, from where you are right now. When you're stuck, when you're confused, when you're overwhelmed, ask, yo, future self, who's got the money, the love, the house, the security, the creative expression, whatever, what would you do right now? I'm connecting to this desire and how it feels, but I need an action. What's going to help close this gap? And that's your intuition, your soul speaking to you, claiming your knowing, your inner authority. Yeah. And so you'll get that guidance, and it could be really simple. It mostly is. When ego answers, it'll be a long story. It'll be like, well, you should do this thing because then it would do that thing. And then maybe down the line here, that's what would happen. And then control. The soul speaks in blunt, quick, straight to the point truths that are usually excruciatingly simple, that we want to make it much harder. The soul will say, you know, oh, you want to feel adventurous? Why don't you sleep outside tonight, or at least go look at the stars? And that's your answer. And in those moments, you become an adventurous person. You become more close to how it is that you want to feel, thus becoming a magnet to what you want to manifest more of in that moment. But mind goes, well, you should probably look at Skyscanner to see when the flights are going to be opening up again, and how much they will be, and when will this thing be all over, and are we still in lockdown, and I don't even know what's going to happen. So maybe you shouldn't be adventurous at all, because who knows, it's so out of our control. That's what ego does. And it will happen at the same time. And you can just discern, like, the loud story is fear, is protection, is mind. Not bad, not wrong, not shaming. It's there, it's serving you. Thanks. But I can hear the guidance that's coming through, because it's really simple, it's really clear, it's really concise, and it's really easy to access when we have our hand on our womb and our bellies, when we breathe. That's it. That is it, literally. And it's painfully, hilariously simple, isn't it? Because we're like, that's all I gotta do? All this time? I've been doing 20 things to try and create the lover? Yeah, it's so simple. It's being in your body. It's being embodied through all of it. And naturally, chemically, you start to train your body to feel the way you want to feel. And so your life magically orchestrates and reorganizes around you to become a match vibrationally. This is what they're talking about when you listen to law of attraction stuff. That's when you become the match. And all of a sudden, oh, there's that new opportunity. That's crazy. I didn't even realize. I didn't even have to try for that. No, it actually doesn't have to be that hard. It can be really effortless and really fun. And that's the mystery. That's surrendering to the mystery of it, is how easy can I let this be? And then you get these synchronicities and these nudges and you're like, oh my gosh, this stuff works. And it just strengthens that trust muscle in the process, right? So your homework for today, home play, is writing a list of all of the ways that this has worked for you already. I know you have proof. I know it. You don't need to bullshit to me right now and say that nothing's ever happened that's been good or miraculous or synchronicity or magic. Magic has existed in all of your lives. I know that for sure. So your home play is to write a list of the places where magic happened and you were an active participant in it. Magic happened and you were an active participant in it. And by active participant, I mean open to the mystery, connected to your desire, doing things that felt good. And I would love, because I'm just realizing the time, we've got to jump off, and I really, really value that you've stayed on with me today. I would love to see this. So if you want to share it with me privately over on Instagram at Spirited Seeker, or if you're feeling ballsy or overizzy, what would that word be if we were like talking in the feminine? I want you to post it publicly, because there's people watching. There's people watching, and they might need a permission slip from you to declare their desires and to remember that they are a part of their own miraculous magic in their own lives, even though it's vulnerable, even though it's gross. Yeah. Is everybody up for that? How are we feeling? Give me a facial expression. Cool. Awesome. I'm so stoked. It's such an honor to tune in with you. I bloody adore you all. Like, the people that keep coming back, I'm just like, I can't wait until this is in real space. Like, I'm fantasizing so hard about the retreat in the States that I'm bringing to life when this is all over and your faces are there. So if you're feeling the pull to the desert, it's because I'm calling you there. The book that I just mentioned, what was the book that I just mentioned? Does anybody else remember that? Journey work. The Journey by Brandon Bays is one that I would highly recommend. It's a super easy read. You'll smash it in like a night, but she has such an incredible story and really awesome practice. I use that with a lot of my clients. Were there any other last minute questions? Feel free. If you need to go, that's fine. You can peace out. Give me a little love note in the chat box. And I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I really wish all of the miracles and magic for you in your world, because that's why I'm here. That's what I want. Yeah. Thanks, Sinead. You're gorgeous. All right, no questions. I'll leave it open for another 20 seconds. Feel free if there's anything that feels like confusing or stuck or like, I don't know. Thank you, Hayley. Pleasure, 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 pleasure. All right. See you, beauties. Have an awesome rest of your day. I'll see you soon.